Hello, friends, and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane. I write in multiple genres, including Christian fantasy, and I know where Rhonda lives.
My name is Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction under the pen name Dee Dee Bowman with my mother, Barbara Bauk. And someone help me, please. I'm being threatened.
I know. The shenanigans abound today. Before we went live, everybody was cutting up and kitty fighting. I don't even know what was going on. It was just crazy town. And then it was like, your podcast just started in a minute. Tina's like, no, it's not. Not unless Jennifer's back, because she was off to get coffee. Like, it was just crazy town. But we're here. We made it. And we got to see that fun little beginning logo that always makes me smile. Good morning, Piper. Who else is in? Oh, Teresa's here with us, Michelle, and I see Gigi and Jason too. So good that all of our friends were able to join us today for another amazing episode. If you haven't ever watched us on YouTube, we have a really great active live chat there, writing community and just fun shenanigans. Please join us there or wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We're kind of all over the place. So if you sign up for our newsletter at christianindywriters.com, help. Is it read.com? Someone
No.
.net.
Here's ChristianIndieWriters.net.
You will get our newsletter and you'll never miss an episode and you'll be more informed than I am, actually. So we start every episode with what's up. We go around the virtual table and we say, what's up with all of our hosts? And Jen looks like she doesn't know what to say, so I'll pick on Tina first.
Well, I do not think I'm going to make my May 1st deadline of having my rough draft finished, unless by some miracle I write 15,000 words today. And since camping season, like I know people like get excited about football season and baseball season and whatever season. We get excited about camping season. The campground opens on May 1st, and so we get to go set up our glamper. And so I have a lot of stuff to do to get ready for that. So I don't think I'm writing 15,000 words today.
But you have been very productive, Tina. You're getting, this is the second book to Lost in the Land of Midnight Sun, available now on Amazon.com by Christina Catane. Yes?
Yep.
It's a continuation of your favorite characters.
And this one, I'm tentatively titled Alone in the Land of the Midnight Sun, but I might change that.
Ooh, all right.
Know.
Well, we're looking forward to you crossing the finish line. You got a question, Rhonda? Sorry.
Yeah. Are we allowed to ask questions during this time?
Sure.
Okay. So have you made some sort of a contract with your audiobook reader from the first one to do all three of the books?
We have a verbal agreement. I said, would you like to do the next ones? And she said, yes.
Yeah, the audio is amazing. That's a good point, Rhonda. Tina, how can they get the audio? Is that also Amazon?
Audible.
Awesome.
You can go to Amazon.com or you can go to Audible.com and get the audio.
Well,
and I do have about 10 promo codes for the audiobook. So if you're interested in getting what they call a reader, what is it called? A review copy. That's what it's called. Of the Audible book, you can contact me. Send me an email. You can find all that information on ChristinaCatane.com.
And you would want a review in exchange for that, would you not?
That's typically how it works.
Okay.
Although I can't demand it.
Right. I mean, if you're going to take her free code, come on, do her a solid. What were you going to say, Ron? It looked like you had maybe one more question.
I was just going to say, is there a preferred platform that you'd like the review on from people now that it's been a few months?
Well, Amazon or Goodreads or Audible. Yeah, I'm not picky.
Okay, sorry, but I just got excited for Piper. She made number 1 in 5 categories on Amazon for free books. And, lost my other job. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but God is still good. So, hooray. Yes. So way to go with the writing stuff. Sorry about the job situation there, but she's going to be driving. So safe driving, Piper. We're so excited for you. We want to know how that Faithful Reads went down. So we're so glad that you chimed in. Jen and I have been waiting to know.
I know she and I were chatting the day of, and so I was kind of following along, and then she had like a little emergency she had to deal with. So then I didn't bother her anymore that day because I kept like messaging her, and then the next morning she messaged me and told me that she'd gotten one. I was so upset, so happy for her.
That's so
Love
great.
it when we can cheer for each other, and that's the whole part of this community. Point of this community is like to encourage each other. So
Yeah.
wait, whoops, sorry, I hit that by accident. Way to go, Piper. We're very proud of you. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. What's up? What's been up with you, Rhonda? What's up?
Well, so I'm back in Michigan. I'm back to all of my crazy things that I do. Museum work. The newsletter for the museum just went out last week. I got myself involved with a golf charity for a food bank in county, my next county over, and so that's been a lot of fun. Stretching me a little bit, doing some things that I know how to do and some stuff I don't know how to do.
Right.
So, yeah, all my free time as usual is taken up. Oh, and then also, of course, I'm getting my garden started. I got my straw delivered day before yesterday. So when we're done here, that's what we're doing.
I keep forgetting that this is a brand new garden that's all fresh and plants and all that kind of fun stuff that goes into all of that. So good for you. I know it's really been a passion of yours. Awesome. Yes. Okay, what's up with you? Well, I guess I'll go next because I really kind of don't know what to say other than, hey, y'all should sign up for my newsletter because I wasn't even going to put it out. But then Jennifer is doing this giveaway on Goodreads, and that inspired me to go and like write an article. And so my newsletter ends up being pretty good. So I think everyone should sign up for my newsletter. And that's all I'm going to say. WritingShorts.net. What's up, Jen?
First of all, I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. So yes, I have a Goodreads promo out right now, giveaway right now for 3 signed copies. And so last I looked, there was almost 700 people signed up for it. So not bad. That means that 700 people are going to be putting in order to enter, they have to put the book in their want to read shelf.
Smart, so smart.
All their friends, all their followers see that. And so it's just kind of free advertising. And because the promo is ending before the book launches, when the book does launch, Goodreads automatically emails everybody that's put it on a shelf, automatically emails them, tells them when it's available. So it's like extra email.
It's direct marketing to people who want your book. They specifically want your books. It's beautiful. I just love this plan. And early reviews are already coming in, which is super exciting. I've got one on BookBub that starts off, if you love feisty heroines and cute guys, you'll love this book. And so I love that. And one on Goodreads says, there are not many people who can tell a story like Jennifer Carl Tong. So nice.
Oh, so nice. So it's been very, very exciting for me to like just be able to see that people are loving this book and enjoying it. So that's my what's up.
Oh my goodness. So Shell, she fell behind. She won't quite make her deadline, but we'll hopefully finish on Monday. She will. Shell sets goals and crushes them. Jason finished a rough Wow, good for him. He finished a rough outline for his book. In total, wrote 3,000 words, switching the focus on his sermon. Yeah, that's important. Yep.
Today he wrote 3,000 just today. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that's something. Teresa, she's received 7 beta feedback, looking for 4 more. The responses have been exciting and encouraging. Yes, that will really keep you excited about your project, Teresa. You're so close. If you're at beta readers, that's great. You're almost to the finish line.
I think Shell and I should have a writing marathon on Sunday night so that we can get our deadline, get our books done.
We got Better Days with us. Good morning.
Good morning, BDZ.
All right. Good to see everybody. Time to top into the jump.
Wow.
Jump into the topic of shiny new things, which is something that this is why I'm in this booth. You see, I cannot look out a window. I cannot be distracted away from what you guys are saying to me because I have eliminated distractions. And that's what we're talking about today is how distractions for writers come in many forms, don't they, ladies?
For sure.
So we're talking about a great big one, and I don't have my outline with me, so someone take it away. With
the reason is we brought this topic up because I actually brought it up because there's been a lot of chatter in writing sections and groups and online other podcasts about Amazon's new announcement about Vella.
Okay, can we pause because I don't like that they called it Vella since vellum exists. It makes me crazy. Why did they pick that name? Okay, that's all I want to say. That is negative. I'm done. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Vella doesn't really have a. Does anyone know why they named it Vella? I've not seen anything on that.
I know vellum is like a kind of parchment, I think. So I think that, it's a writing fancy term, but like, why? Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's just another form of the word vellum.
They have to know vellum exists. Anyway, whatever.
Right.
That's none of my business. I don't sit on their board meetings, so whatever.
Does anyone want to share kind of in short what Vella is for those that are new to this topic?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Vella, it's just if anybody's familiar with Radish or with Wattpad, it's where you serialize your book. You publish installments, maybe chapters or scenes at a time. And it's on a sort of a subscription type basis, not necessarily that you have to pay for the book, but like I know Wattpad is free. But anyway, it's for doing episodes of your book instead of an entire novel at a time.
Yeah, I did look into it some. Tina, did you want to say what you know about Vella? Did you want to share if you know anything about it? Do you have anything to add?
I really don't know other than Vella is an Italian name for a girl that means beautiful. It's like a form of Bella.
Oh, how nice. Well, I just want to say that I did look it up, and I guess the reader will buy something called tokens. And then, you spend so many tokens to read an installment. And so then you're getting 50% of what Amazon makes off of what they say that installment was worth. I did look it up. It's about 0.3 zeros and then a 5 cents per 100 words. So if you're a short story person who submits to market already, you can do your own cost benefit analysis there. But again, it's a decimal point with 3 zeros and then the number 5 cents for every 100 words that you submit is what they're estimating, but they can't really say for sure yet because they haven't launched, and that's what the tokens are going to cost, but they don't know how many participants there will be, for example, right? So it's like a page read share. If you're in Kindle Unlimited, you already know how Kindle calculates how many people have read how many pages, and you get a fraction of a penny for each page read. It's very similarly calculated. That's all that I really know about Vella.
Jason says Vella is the name of a character in his book.
Oh, free publicity for you.
Yeah.
I'm saying like keyword gold right there. Like make sure you put that keyword in everything you do.
All right. So we talked a little bit about what Vella is. And even though I said I didn't here's my outline right here. Hooray. So
we talked about so we have differing opinions. So of course I'm always the one, stay focused. Like, don't get distracted by this. This is how the name Shiny New Things Jamie came up with, is because often we can get a little bit distracted by things that like are kind of shiny and new, right? So, But Rhonda had a totally different perspective on this. And so we want to talk first with Rhonda about her experience.
Okay. So my daughter also is a writer, and a few years ago, probably about 2 years ago, she said, "Hey mom, I'm going to send you a link." And that was my first experience with Wattpad. I don't know if anybody else has Wattpad experience. So basically what it was she would write a scene or a chapter, and it's completely publishable. It's all completely edited. You don't want to put something on these that is like a rough draft or for a beta reader or something. So I realized that I really enjoy this sort of serialization because a book is such a huge commitment for me to actually read it these days that I just don't even start reading books. I've got so many books on my reading list right now. It's ridiculous. But when she started sending me these chapters of her book on about an every 3-day basis, which you can choose how often you want them to come out, it really worked out for me. So when Amazon came out with this, I was so excited about it. For one thing, because I think seeing something published more quickly than you would publish a novel, you're just publishing a chapter at a time.
Yeah, you get a win. You get a win. A
win immediately.
Very motivating.
Yep. Each episode is between 506,000 words or 605,000 words, something like that. So, the quick win is what we're going to go for right now.
Right. And we don't need to do a whole, because I was going to ask you a million billion questions, but I am going to point out that you also have no issue making your own covers. Covers was something that always put me off of serialization, because then you have to have a cover, sometimes an image for each episode on Wattpad. People had beautiful covers going on and I couldn't compete. So when I was originally thinking about serialization, like you, Wattpad or whatever was all that was out there. And it was no pay. I mean, you didn't even get the 0.00005 cents, right, Rhonda?
Right. Yep.
So the point is, though, you opted to actually change your business plan. This is what Jen is trying to get to, because you opted to change your business plan to incorporate Vela into it, correct? So talk a little bit about that, because our whole episode is about not distracting yourself. So dwell there.
Yes. Okay. So if you want to go back to our business plan episode, you will know that I say you stick to your business plan for the whole year. It's only a year, just stick to it. So I was a little bit nervous changing my mind about that when I went back to look through, because I couldn't remember exactly how we had written it. But the good thing is we stated that we were going to be looking for new platforms to publish on.
Nice.
So
this
slips right in there.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do this year, we're going to do our novella, the intro novella to our book. And then we're still going to publish the novels as regular novels on
Great.
You know,
so
if
you're
anybody
using it
does,
as a promotional tool, really.
Yes, promotional, but also for my writer, it's going to be helpful for her too, because her love language is words of affirmation. And on Vela, they make it easier for the reader to contact or communicate with the author. So you get feedback so much more quickly, if at all, because you know how hard it is to get reviews on your book.
Right.
But then actually to get feedback on a chapter by chapter basis is really intriguing.
I think that's one of the major differences between this and just putting out a bunch of small novels or small novellas or short stories, which you can do through Kindle and through Kindle Unlimited. I think that's the big difference, is the access to your readers, right? Right.
Okay, well, we've now talked about why Rhonda is going to probably pursue this, but for the rest of us, we sort of said, wait a second, this is a distraction. This is a shiny new thing dingling and dangling over here that's just pulling our interest and our focus away from what we're supposed to be doing. Isn't that the purpose of this episode, Jen? Is because the three of us were like, hey, we can't do that, right? And we kind of said, what other things are like that?
Right. Well, because also too, like a person could take a novel that you're writing right now and you could serialize it, but you would have to be very, like, it would be a different beast. And Rhonda is already has some experience with it through her daughter like that. So she knows that. But like for me, I could split mine up into like 6,000 words, but I would have to really make sure that each of those 6,000 words is satisfying. But still also can end with enough of a cliffhanger that they want to go on to the next one. And I try to do every chapter that way, but it's not always like that exciting, right? Sometimes it's just enough to where, like, to get them to turn the page, maybe not enough to make them tune back in 3 days later when the next one comes out, or a week later, like that. So, excuse me. So what we talked about, for me personally, the deciding factor is, if I'm not willing to go in and change my business plan, because that was a lot of work to do in the first place, right? If I'm not willing to go in and do that, then it probably is a shiny new thing.
Okay, right? So that's our benchmark, right? Our benchmark is if it's important enough to you that you would change your business plan to do it. Because again, your business plan has like your financials wrapped up in there. Now, this happens to be a free situation, but any shiny new thing that comes along down the pipe, does it cost money, for example, right? Like when you decide to distract and not follow your business plan, there are consequences to your life and to the schedule that you already have mapped out for launching your book, is kind of what we're saying. So you have to count the cost. Tina, it looks like you might have something to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say that my benchmark is not whether or not I have to change my business plan. So I think that's individual.
What's your benchmark?
Well, whether it's going to advance my career is probably my biggest benchmark. And then is it going to keep me from reaching my goal for whatever I'm working on right now?
Right.
So I guess that does fit into the business plan, but the business, like, I'm willing to go change my business plan if I found something that I thought would be really beneficial to my
Right.
career.
And that's what Jen's
Right.
point is. The business plan is like a fence that keeps you from derailing yourself. I mean, imagine if you had a bunch of horses running around and someone said, oh, it would be a great idea is just to let this one horse out. So they open the gate and all the horses go running. That's what the business plan is your fence to keep you from letting all the horses go crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't really work for me, but I'm so high in adaptability that like those kind of fences just don't work. So I'm developing a what do they call it? Oh, I just lost the word. It's a tree that you do. Have you seen those trees? Decision tree. And you have like the decision you need to make, and then you ask like the first important question and yes or no, and then based on that answer you go to the next question. So I'm working on developing that, and my first question is going to be, does it advance your career?
Yeah.
And if it's no, then obviously not going to do it. If it's yes, then I'm going to have like second question, is it going to take up so much time that I can't do A, B, or C?
Right.
Yes or no. So
yes, I agree. A decision tree is another tool people use to decide whether or not something is a shiny new thing. I'm looking in the chat here. If you guys don't know, there's a whole lot of chat about Vela. Teresa says, for example, her story does fit best the Vela ideal, but it was stressing her out because her plan is to write books. She ended up shutting that idea down, but now she doesn't know what to do with that story idea. And my advice for her would be to sit on it and let it marinate and grow, because those characters in that story are going to become very real to you. And when you sit down to write it, it's just going to flow out because you'll have been spending so much time with them in your quiet moments that you're just going to love it even more when the time comes.
And if you guys remember back when I was first writing what is now book 3, and we did that short story like thing, and all of a sudden now I had this other book that wanted to be written, and I stressed out about that. I'm like, but that's not part of my, I didn't call it a business plan then, but I'm like, no, I'm focused. I'm going to finish this novel because I thought it was my only novel, right? I did, the story wouldn't leave me. It would not leave me alone until I fit it into my business plan. Now let's kind of unpack that for a minute. I didn't have a business plan, but I had an idea of what I was going to do. And once I figured out that story could be used as a novella to intro into the series, and could also be like, I could originally give it away as my reader magnet, then I felt okay putting the novel I was working on aside and going to that. So maybe Teresa is in the same situation where that could be something that she needs to put out before she puts her novel out. But it's something that you have to pray about. And then if God just won't let you get rid of it, like if it won't leave you, then you got to go back and look at it. And maybe it is something, maybe Vela is something for you. But we also want to make sure that like you got to, in your career, you've got to make sure that we call it a business plan.
Yeah.
You could be your prayer life, whatever, but you got to make sure that you don't get distracted. So whatever you set up, whether it is a decision tree or your business plan, that is what you have to go to.
Yeah.
Because we prayerfully considered things before we did our business plan, right?
Yeah.
So if we go back and we use it as our litmus test, and God says, no, he can shut you down there, he can shut you down other places, then you know that you're not supposed to be doing that. But he may want you to, right?
Right. And I can attest to this, Jennifer, because remember, my business plan is like this. Like, yes. I did not ever write down a business plan, but I kind of operate that way anyway. It's like I put the fences in my head, and I know here's the direction I'm going. Here's the direction I'm going. Here's the direction I'm going. And then like that story you were talking, like Jennifer, that whole thing kind of pulled me for a while. I'm like, let me revise and edit and republish this other thing over here. Nope. This project right here. So it doesn't even have to be a new thing to distract you sometimes. Sometimes it can be the old things coming at you and, oh, well, what about that I could resurrect? And what about that I could resurrect? But it takes you away from your big picture vision, that finish line of publishing or whatever you wanted when you wrote the business plan, right? It's kind of like a monument.
And go ahead, Tina.
I was just going to say, for me, things like Vela have no appeal. Like that is not a shiny new thing to me. That
everybody's is different, eh?
But because I love learning so much, it's all the courses and the classes and the conferences, and those are the things that like pull me and like, ooh, and so that's why I need this decision tree, because
yes,
I'm not interested in things that would keep me from writing my novel, like by writing something else. It would be this course taking up so much of my time that I don't write as much.
Mm.
And Bella does not distract me either, because I know that this is not Amazon's first try at this. Several years ago,
What did they do?
Amazon had something similar to Bella, and I wish I could remember the name. I had it in my head when we first started this episode, but they did a serialization type of thing. And a lot of authors invested time and effort and put things out there and had an audience out there, and then Amazon pulled the rug out on it. So part of me is a little leery of anything like this that Amazon would introduce, because if they don't find they're making enough money, they're not going to keep doing it. So I think that the plan and the way that Rhonda is doing it is a very smart and a very healthy way to look at Bella. She's not abandoning what she's already got going on with her plan, but she can see that Bella fits her business plan. She can see how she and her mom can take Bella and use it and capitalize on it. I think that is very, very good thing to do. So if you if you feel like, if you pray about it and you just can't get Bella out of your mind, if you feel like you have a story that will fit it, or the story you're working on should be serialized, go for it. But I would not put all my eggs in that one basket. If it were me personally, now you're not Jennifer Carl Tong, your results may vary, but for me, that's what I would say.
Well, yes. And I would also say Jess and Jennifer, like that. I almost feel like I can't talk after except to just say more of what you said. And I feel like, are you really going to do it? Because like finishing the novel, so you say, oh, I'm going to go write this serial series for Amazon. And so you write like 3 installments. Like, are you really committed to this series? Do you know these? Like Rhonda does. Rhonda has a whole world. She's got characters who live in houses and places and maps and all kinds of stuff already. Are you really committed to this series for the amount of time it would take to make Bella work for you? Because remember, you're only going to be making pennies per installment. You're going to have to crank out installment after installment after installment, right? Like, so it's more than just, oh, something really quick that I can get published. Unless you just really want to be published, then go post it to your Facebook page. So I'm just kind of saying, like, evaluate and be wise. And I think that you'll do okay, right?
Agreed.
I think is what Jen said. So anyway, we're kind of a little early to be done with the whole outline. Do we have anything else to say about shiny new things? Do we have anything in the chat? Just people, whether or not they should do Bella.
Just that I find it very annoying that every time you guys say shiny new things, I think about that scene in Moana with the crab. And it's like I hate that song. It drives me crazy, and it's my least favorite part of the movie. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, so Moana is a part of my life. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So
I remember those days.
It has nothing to do with the topic other than
it's
I don't want to be thinking about that crab making me crabby.
Well, then how about we move on then? If everybody's all done with shiny new things, and we'll move on to the feeding of the backs, which is feedback time. We sprint for 15 minutes before the podcast starts, and then we just come on the air to read whatever comes out. So since there hasn't been any editing, we try to give only positive and encouraging feedback for these writing sprints. And we love to read what you guys write. So please set the timer next week and look at our prompt and write something, and then put it on your social media or put it on your blog. We're giving you an idea to write that will give you some content. Okay. So take advantage. And Jen, why don't you share what was the prompt and what was your sprint?
Today's prompt was everything old is new again. It was not in quotes, which means you can do with it what you want. And it's just a theme for mine. So again, I'm back in my Widows of the West. So.
Yay!
When Cade returned, Colleen was nowhere to be found. He circled the house and finally found her behind the building, kneeling in the dirt. What on earth are you doing? Cleaning this mess up, she said without looking up. These aren't just weeds back here. There's something growing. Look. Cade didn't need to look to know what Colleen was referring to. Peonies, he said. Colleen looked up now. Peony bushes? How can you tell with all this dead grass surrounding it? Because I planted them there. Cade knelt beside her and began unearthing the struggling bush, grabbing large handfuls of crabgrass, dead and old, and yanking them from the ground. Why would you plant them and just let them wither away like this? Because I don't much like peonies. Colleen planted her hands on her hips and cocked her head at him. Then why in the world plant them if you don't like them? Cade continued weeding. They were my mother's. They came from her garden in Louisiana. And you brought them here with you? Cade nodded. But why? If you don't like them, why go to all the trouble of bringing them here? Keeping them alive for the whole trip? That must have taken care to do so. Why care that much if you don't even like them? Because she liked them. Colleen nodded as if she understood, which Cade doubted. As a tribute to her, I guess, he said. Then I guess we're back to my original question. Why not take care of them? Cade gathered the freshly pulled weeds and stood. He offered Colleen his hand and helped her standing as well. As she rose, she looked up at him, those tender green eyes penetrating his resolve. Because, Mrs. I can't remember her last name. Sometimes you just have to have something near just to know it's near, whether or not it's good for you. And then I wrote another sentence. That one thing that you think will heal your pain is also the one thing that keeps the wound open.
I suspect a theme unfolding.
That's how I write. And so that's why I left both lines in there, just to kind of show people. So sometimes when you're feeling led by the Holy Spirit as you're writing, and you know that there's some sort of message that you're supposed to get or the reader's supposed to get. Sometimes I don't know it always. And sometimes I end up writing a whole bunch of things that just kind of pop into my head. And then I finally get to it and realize this is what this scene's supposed to mean. So anyway, that's it.
Very good. Yeah, it was I love how it shows that he's a certain kind of guy, because he would take care of a plant all the way on that trip. That's
but then let it die once he got it there.
Yeah. Says a lot about him.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't know. Maybe he just needed the security of knowing that a portion of that person was traveling with him. And once he got there safely, he didn't need that anymore.
Ooh, good.
What was your last line again?
Which one? There were two of them.
Not the last, but the second to last.
Well, Jen, I'm going to say real quick, Gigi said it was beautiful, and Shell said it was awesome. Lots of comments in the chat there, Jen.
Thank you, everyone. The first one is because Mrs. McGillicuddy, sometimes you just have to have something near, and just to know it's near, whether or not it's good for you, which I'm thinking he's talking about her. Or the one thing that you think will heal your pain is also the one thing that keeps the wound open. I don't know. These both popped in my head. I'm not sure which one I'm going with.
I cannot wait for these books to come out.
Either of those could be like those lines that you pull out to like advertise your book. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yep. I got to be honest. So I didn't think I was going to be using this. I don't even know if peonies will grow in Texas. I don't even know if this is the right time of year. But in my backyard is peonies, breaking up the middle of the yard. It's like not even like where it's supposed to be, is a bunch of peonies. I don't like peonies. They're pretty for a little bit of time, but then they die off. And for some reason they bring ants to them.
Ants pollinate them. That's why you don't put them next to the house. Let me come dig them up.
No. Let me finish.
He's jumping at the bit over there.
No, let me finish. They are from the farm my dad was born in. They're from that farm. They're over 100 years old. Because my grandmother was born in 1900, because my dad's youngest of 10. And I know that these were at that farm, and when they bought the farm, and so anyway, but they were important to my aunt. So there's so many things in this house and around this house that are important to her, and you have to decide what do you keep, what you don't. Can't be a shrine to her. But for now, they stay there. But I have a neighbor that keeps getting after me because I don't take care of them the way that they're supposed to be taken care of.
Oh, so and this is kind of right what you know, isn't it, Jen?
She came to me once and said, "I'll just take them if you want." She wanted to come dig them out of my yard and put them in her yard, and I'm like, "No, my peonies, leave them alone." So,
they've been growing there for 100 years. I'm sure you're not going to kill them, Jen.
Well, they're not.
No matter how much
they were at the other farm, but they've been here 40 years, right? So I'm not going to kill. They're not going to die, right? Exactly. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put them, and anywho, there was a little bit of that inspiration. I don't feel like those lines I use for him. I'm not feeling those lines. That just kind of came from the story. But yeah. Anyways, that's it. Inside knowledge.
What were you going to say, Rhonda?
I was just going to say, well, good luck digging them up anyway, because those root balls are terrible. Anyway, different podcast.
And if you want some, though, I'm willing to share. I don't need all of these. Yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Peonies are popular with ants, with or without a U. Okay, so all right, moving right along. Very nice story, Jennifer. Lots of compliments in the chat there. So Tina, what have you got for us today, Tina?
Okay. I'm going to move this over because I have this huge screen in front of me. Mildred stopped halfway down the plush carpeted hallway next to the antique sideboard with a short plump vase decorated with blue swans and full of pink geraniums. Her right knee screamed at her. Her left elbow ached, and she was having trouble catching her breath. Rose pulled up next to her, leaning heavily on her walker with her elbows and gasping for air. "You cheated," Rose managed to say. "How can I have cheated?" Mildred replied. "There are no rules in walker races." Mr. Cavendish, whose name was Charles, but who insisted everyone call him Mr. Cavendish as if he were someone important in his past life, rolled up in his wheelchair. His loafers barely stayed on his shriveled feet, and his lounging suit, as he called it, a sand-colored number that screamed Miami Vice, was rumpled around his middle due to the hunch in his back. "I find it quite distasteful that women of your maturity should be behaving as children and racing through the hallways. I am going to have to speak with the management about the standards of this establishment." "It's an old folks' home," Rose said, rolling her eyes and moving her finger in little circles around her ear. "People forget their own names and pee in their pants on an hourly basis." Mr. Cavendish made a huffing sound and turned his chair sharply in the other direction, heading for the so-called sitting room. "Just another place to pee yourself," is what Rose always said. Rose wasn't the type of woman that Mildred would have been friends with, or even have known in her other life. But here at Sunny Pastures, everyone was truly reduced to a level playing field. "I need to sit down," Mildred told her friend. "But I demand a rematch," Rose said. "It'll have to wait till tomorrow. Besides, I think The Price is Right is about to start." Rose made a shushing sound with her mouth. "That show bit the shark when What's-His-Face went to swim with them." "Well, it's better than the tired old soap operas that haven't come up with anything original since I was changing diapers and warming bottles." "Okay, but no cheating," Rose said as the two women headed for the so-called parlor where the TV was. As Mildred lowered herself into her seat, she sighed. "They say everything old is new eventually. How I wish it were true." Rose waved her hand at Mildred dismissively. "Shh, that cute guy with the square glasses is on."
Yay. And it was like very cohesive. Good job, Bambina.
I love that you captured what our retirement, the four of us in the home together, is going to look like.
I'm winning all the walker races. I'm just letting you know.
Piper says, "OMG, Tina." That's hilarious. Loved it. I love the
when you
character.
do funny, Tina. Sorry, Jen.
No, I love the characters, and specifically the description of the guy in the Miami Vice suit. Oh my gosh. It's so awesome.
Insisting on being called Mr. Cavendish. Love Rose. These gals are hilarious. Yeah, really good, Tina. Very good characterization.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I wrote something too, and then we'll have a Rhonda's, except I cannot find mine. Rhonda, why don't you go? My mouse is not working. Help.
Oh,
Rhonda,
sure.
why don't you go? Yes.
Okay. "Mom, will you help me with my pant legs? I can't get it right," Ashley said, her bright pink cheeks showing her frustration. "What are you doing, hon?" I asked, probably with a bit too much enthusiasm, judging by the partially stifled eye roll my 14-year-old daughter tried to hide. She held out one leg and poised her foot on my knee. "I need to fold the bottom of my pant leg in the front and then roll it up a couple times while it's still folded." My hands, which had been reaching for her ankle, stopped short. "You what?" The room began to spin as my inner drill sergeant barked at me. "Choke back the tears, Mama. This is what you've been training for. If she sees mushy sentiment leak out of you right now, it's over. Man up, swallow hard, and keep calm." Ashley. I looked deeply into her face and realized her cheeks weren't red from frustration. It was way too much wet and wild blusher. I see she also found electric blue mascara. I made a mental note to clean out all of my old makeup. "Why are you dressed like this?" My eyes unlocked from hers and traveled up, 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 all the way up the full height of her bangs. I didn't have to touch them to prove they would clank if I flicked them. I guess she found the last of my Aquanet in the back of my closet too. Please, I really need to clean out my bathroom closet. Still trying to swallow back my tears of joy, I reached for the cuff. "No, Mom, that's not right." My turn to hide an eye roll.
Yay! Best line. My turn to my turn to hide eye roll because you know how to peg a pair of pants.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah,
tell me how to peg a pair of pants, young lady.
These whippersnappers don't know how to do everything. She's pegging her pants, Piper says, LOL. Yes, the 80s for sure.
Yep.
Rhonda, beautiful use of that prompt. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, like that's a stellar example. Great job.
Inspired by Spirit Week a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and then the Stranger Things came out, and it's like our stuff was really cool for a while. It's
For a
like
minute,
in the world. Yeah.
And when my teenager wants to play his music in the car, it's like stuff from my high school days. And I like know all the words and I'm singing and he's like over here like,
Yeah. You know.
how do you know that song?
Yeah.
Gigi loves your inner drill sergeant. She says so awesome. And
Very
Cheryl says, yes, perfect, Rhonda. Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Really great take on the prompt.
Anybody that was listening to that and was just like not getting it and not understanding where you're going is too young. Or I guess it could be too old too. But like all of us like around here were like, yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I would do sock hop stuff. I bet you my parents would feel funny about me doing sock hop stuff, like that kind of weird nostalgia.
Yeah, like
stuff.
I remember I wanted a poodle skirt so bad when I was
My mom was a beautiful seam. I say was like she's gone, but like she used to be able to sew really, really well. And so I remember we had some sort of 50s day or whatever, kind of a spirit day. She was so excited. Like, and I was excited too, but I'd never understood why she was so excited to make me a poodle skirt. It was beautiful. I had the most, like I had a real one, not like a felt or whatever.
Yeah.
And now as an adult with daughters, I'm like, I get it. Yeah, I absolutely get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hated skirts. I wouldn't have been caught dead in a poodle skirt.
You'd have to wear pedal pushers.
I was a total tomboy.
Yes, you were, Tina. Yeah, you told us. That's awesome. Okay, so I got distracted. Sorry about that. You could probably tell, but this is because I was looking for my sprint. So here it is. Sorry, everyone. Again, everything else is new again. She picked up the garment and assessed it with a critical eye. Mary would never wear anything like it. Puffy sleeves and shoulder pads. Still, if she snipped a pad out of one side and used it for, Sheila Buckweiler, is that you? Sheila did not even have to turn around to know who owned the shrieking voice she heard approaching her from behind. Catherine, how nice to see you, she said, turning and pasting on her public expression of interested kindness. Catherine Miserall was the treasurer for the Bunko committee, and Sheila hadn't been to play for a few weeks. We've missed you at Bunko, Catherine said, chewing her gum loudly in the space between words and reaching to pluck something off Sheila's shirt. What have you done to your hair? Nothing. Why? Sheila put a hand to her head. I can tell is why. Catherine rolled her eyes. I can't believe how far you've let your standards slip. I mean, it was only a dog, for heaven's sake. Sheila's heart leapt to her throat and stayed there like a lump of unswallowed oatmeal. She felt hot tears form in her eyes. There was so much she would say if it wasn't for that oatmeal. Instead, she stood there as Catherine inventoried the series of missteps she had taken since putting down her longtime companion. As the frenemy prattled on and on, Sheila stared hard at her assailant. She inventoried the imperfection of the face, so artfully camouflaged by a layer of thick makeup. She pictured in her mind's eye the rolling eyes of Steve, Catherine's husband, whenever her back was turned. Before long, the harsh words seemed to become as inconsequential as a morning rain to a man with a slicker and a pair of galoshes. Actually, Catherine, I'm just here to pick something up for my daughter, but it was nice to see you. She put the blouse back on the rack. After all, what can anyone really do with shoulder pads?
Wow.
That was great.
You had me as soon as she's like, it was just an animal. I was like, oh, I know where this is going. And you had me like right there because no one understands unless you lose or have to, and then you put her down. Oh,
yeah.
I also want to point out how great you are with character names. Like how on the fly do you come up with the character names that absolutely give you information about that character like that? Like the name fits every single time. And other writers, we all know this, everyone in the chat will agree with me. Other writers are like, oh, what am I going to name this character? And you're like, McGillicuddy or whatever. Like you're just so good at it. Like,
yeah, that's the part where I have to be sprinty. Like that's the part where I have to just be really sprinty and not think too much because I will get hung up on a name. So thank you. Sometimes they're really like today was Miserall because she makes me miserable. And so it just came out. Yeah. Oh no, it's not only a dog, right, Piper?
Never. It's never only a dog.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ew. Okay, so I forgot I'm the host. I'm waiting for the host to say, okay, moving on, but it's me. Jamie, paste on public interest. Yeah, that's really, because I mean, you think you're having an alone moment and then you run into somebody and then you got to be on. That's like the worst. You know what I mean? And then there's really not a nice way to say, I just can't be on right now. Like, is there a nice way to say, I just can't be on right now? Like, can you hand out business cards? And that's why nobody wants to put in anybody at the grocery store. Do you know what I'm saying? A t-shirt, Jen. Yes. Like, please do not approach. Like, you'll be unhappy if you approach me, is what I want people to know.
It reminds me of that meme I saw where there's a lady sitting on a plane reading a book and she had put like a cover on it that said how to stab people who talk to you. Like,
oh, Shell, thank you for the nice compliment. She said, I'm great to getting down to the emotions. That's very nice, Shell. Thanks.
So true.
Oh, I gotta find that meme. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good, Tina. Okay, so we've got to now do what's next, right? Wow, it seemed like we're running a little short today, but you guys will all get 10 extra minutes to do shenanigans, I guess. Okay, so what's next for everybody? We're going to go around the virtual roundtable again and talk about goals or plans or dreams for your career. We'd also like to know in the chat what's next for y'all. What's next for you, Jen?
Well, like we said before, I have the Goodreads giveaway that's going on. So if you want to find that, you just go to Goodreads and find me and click on my upcoming book, A Calling for Feed Me, and you can join that. I'm also going to be doing a giveaway for BookBub, which we'll see how this goes. I created a Google form with Jamie's help. So I've never done this before. We'll see. I'm making my own kind of giveaway to see if I can get more followers over on BookBub. I have around 150 some right now. So yeah, everything is like kind of like, I felt like up to this point, I was spending so much time like busyness, trying to like tie up all these loose ends and like graphics, and I was always doing something. And now it's like I'm so scheduled out, like I'm like feeling like I don't have anything to do but write, which is good. Yeah. But I can only write so much. And then I'm like, okay, like I feel like I'm dropping a ball. I'm a little nervous about this, that something's gonna implode right before the book release, which is in less than 2 weeks now.
Because I think what you're feeling is that you were so busy with all of that foundational getting ready for the launch, right?
Yeah.
And now that you've done all of that heavy lifting, now that you're done doing all of the work, it feels like, why do I not still have work to do? Right? Like you're trying to fill that empty work hole with more work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think so.
Yeah. And you know what though? Awesome. The next one is not gonna seem so difficult because you've already done it once. You know what I'm saying? Or, like every time you do it, you've done it more than once, but you know what I mean?
Right. And since we have a little extra time, can I just can we talk about one more thing too this week? So I have Publisher Rocket, and I went on there when Piper and I were chatting along the other day, and so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put my book in, and it will tell you how many books you have to sell to make it to number one, at least on that day, which I'm not releasing that day. And it was very sobering for me because we talked in the past about how it's a much more crowded field, Christian romances, than some other Christian genres, and it's much more crowded, I guess, than I even realized. Even to get kind of into like an obscure genre or category for number one, I'm going to have to sell lots. Like 300 was the least amount, and I've never sold that many in one day. So, but it's okay because it just changes my focus. So I'm not like, I feel like now I'm not hoping for a number one with this release. I'm thinking that I'm my next one. I have 6 months or so to prepare and get to the point where I can maybe sell and get to number one with that. So I think it was good for me to see it. It was sobering for me to see it, but yeah. Anyway, so that was, I guess, should have been my what's up, I guess. But
I love your perspective on the number one badge, Jennifer, because you are not trying to get the number one badge for like, your pursuit of it is causing you to take the right actions to be a successful writer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you're using it as a benchmark of, am I doing everything right? Like you're not chasing the status. You're chasing, this means I'm working hard. This means I'm doing the work. And so you deserve to get that, you know what I'm saying? For
Someday.
the effort, that you're putting in. So we're all going to be, I know, pulling for you and praying about that, because 300 sounds like a lot to me, but doesn't sound like a lot for your book, because I believe in your book. So it's easy for me to say you'll sell 300, but I know how hard it is to believe when you're the one who's got to sell them, right?
Right.
And one day it won't even be a question. One day, like, you'll launch your books and there'll be way more than 300 people anxiously waiting for it.
I appreciate that, Tina. Thank you. It'll be someday, right? So
someday.
I'm only sharing that to just encourage everybody else that, like, these numbers, when I first released Searching for Anna, never, ever would I even thought that about reaching number 1. But as you continue with your journey, and as you take all the steps and you master certain things and you add certain things, and it just becomes your career, then you get to that point. Some people do hit number 1 the first time, but like it wasn't my thought. So I'm not saying this to like add stress to anybody. I just want you guys to get your books out, I guess is what I'm saying. And it'll come. It's just different layers and different levels of your career.
I'm just always amazed at how much of creation is about waiting for fruit to bear. So I just, once again, am reminded of that as we talk.
Yeah.
Piper says that she's quilting this weekend, writing next week. She's almost 3/4 of the way done with her rough. Whoop, whoop.
Awesome.
Jason is going to set a deadline. He's going to try deadlines of when to be finished. Yeah, Jason, get yourself done. And then after that, he'll be working toward that goal. Love to hear if you set a goal next week, Jason. Shell says she's finishing her short. She needs about 2,000 more words, and she has 2 more set pieces, so she thinks she can do it. Awesome. Tina, she wants to sprint with you. Connect with her. She can't do Sunday, but she's free Monday, Tina. Reach out to Shell, okay? Teresa says, what's next? Diving back into developmental edits using beta feedback in May. All right. Everybody is so busy. What's next for me? I already talked about my newsletter. I hate to talk about it twice, but what is next really is I'm switching the freebie that I'm giving away. So right now I'm giving away One Quiet Afternoon, which is a motorcycle shoot 'em up kind of a tale. So go join my Writing Shorts newsletter today, or you won't get that as the freebie because I'm changing it starting May 1st. And that's going to be Knight's Gift, which is a traditional sort of fairy tale little tale. So if you want to get One Quiet Afternoon, writingshorts.net, go sign up today, and then you'll get both, because you'll get to get a Knight's Gift when it comes live. So, okay, what's going on with Tina?
First, I just need to ask you, Jamie, was that Knight's Gift story from that prompt that we had way back in the day?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
It started at a writing group. They said, we're going to have a challenge. Everybody's going to write a story, and the princess is going to pick the person who brings the best gift. So we all went home and wrote, what gift did the prince bring to the princess? And that's the story. So
yeah, and just to show you who I am, my knight brought like a bloody heart of a dragon in. Like
yeah, I remember that.
Like everyone else was bringing the princess like these beautiful romantic things, and I'm like all covered in blood, handing her the dragon heart. So that's just the difference.
I remember right. Yours didn't want to be married, right?
Yeah, he did not want to marry the princess.
He didn't like the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon was irritating him.
Yes, so. I remember.
Anyway, my what's next? So I have like a 3-part answer.
Okay.
So I need to write about 15 to 20,000 more words to reach my goal for this rough draft. And I can't guarantee it's going to be done in 20,000 words. It might take a little more. So I think I'm going to have to push my deadline for myself out a couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really happy that I've made this much progress, which is so much faster than the last book that took like over 10 years. So like perspective, right?
Right.
And also, so then I have this 1-year plan in my mind to have 3 books published by the end of the year. So once I finish, and I mean like 3 books total. So that would mean I have to publish 2 more books this year. So my plan is
getting the 15K done. How are you going to get those 15K met?
Just going to write.
All right. Office hours every day.
Yeah, probably more than office hours to get that done.
Yeah.
But so then I have that 1-year plan of having 3 books published by the end of 2021, and I have a 5-year plan of having 15 books published at the end of 5 years. And eventually, I want to get to the place where I have this passive income. Enough money that I can leave a legacy for my kids, and then once I hit like I don't know 15-20 books, then I can relax That's what I'm thinking. So that's kind of my plans in my head going out, the strategy that I have going forward about 5-10 years.
Awesome.
Very well thought
like
out.
the what's next in my life, and the campground opens tomorrow. So you know,
Do you
we
find
all
you get
three
more
of the
writing done when you're down there because like you're away from home? Because see, that's what my goal. I would love to have a camper down there or somewhere. Take the girls. They get to go play. They get to go to the lake or whatever, and I'm writing the whole time. Like they don't even care about me.
well, you know what? We should have like some writing. We just go to the campground, and you and I can sit in the camper and write, or out in the yard by the fire pit or whatever, and write.
They have tables down by the lake where the girls swim. I did that one summer down there.
Sounds like you guys are gonna get to have a retreat.
It depends on who's with me. Well, this weekend it's like everybody's going to be there. So, my granddaughter's going to be there. My husband, my son Christopher, who's 17. He probably won't bother us much. He's kind of likes to go off by himself. But and my daughter and my son-in-law live on the campground, and we so we're gonna have like a cookout or something, I think. So I probably won't get much writing done at the campground. Plus, we have to open the camper and get everything set up. So that's going to be a lot of work. But normally, if I go down there by myself, I do get a lot of writing done.
Yep, you get isolated and get focused. What's next? I'll already send mine. Rhonda, what's next for you?
Okay, so what's next for me is our book, our novella is in edits right now. So that's an exciting development for me. And so working on the edits and then also getting it prepared for Vella, deciding where it's going to be chapped. I don't know where the echo is coming from.
I don't know either. I'll mute me.
So anyway, that's my number one thing. And then besides that, I'm going to go back through some of my sprints and see if there's anything else I can start developing a little bit. So that's going to be my writing career for the next little bit. But can I go back up to Teresa's comment about us writing sprints and all four of us having four different ideas?
Yeah.
That is the whole reason that we do.
Yes, yep. Teresa says she loves how you all take one prompt in so many different directions. Now go ahead, Rhonda, wax poetic.
Yes. Okay. So that is why we do this on here, is to show that sprints are such a great exercise, not only for getting yourself writing, but just for inspiration. And that's why having a writing group to do this with is so wonderful. And then also we have a sprint book in case anybody out there doesn't know. Jamie, do you happen to have your copy right there?
I've got it close. I'll get it.
Okay. So anyway, what we did is we took a bunch of prompts that we wrote over a couple years, and we put the one prompt and then what the four of us wrote. There it is right there. So that's available on Amazon right now. So if anybody wants more sprint practice, we would love to hear how your sprints are different from ours as well.
Yes. And listen, like Rhonda is not joking. Okay. This book, like I looked at it. I finally bought one. That's a hard I've seen it in digital, but this is a nice book. Like you would turn it over and see $21.95 at Barnes and Noble or wherever. This is $10. Like this is a really nice book. Because the other ladies did all layout stuff. Like I've got my wheelhouse. I know where I excel. It is not making something that looks beautiful like this, but the other ladies really did work hard on giving everybody a beautiful product for only $10. I'm telling you, if you don't own it, that's kind of silly, especially if you're looking for content to put up and you're like, well, I have social media, but nobody wants to hear what I say. Well, then write something. You're a writer, for Pete's sake. Write something and put it on your social media. I mean, we're giving you, here, write this. You know what I'm saying? We really want you to succeed in your writing career and your writing journey. And every little bit of stuff that you can put out there to show people you're a writer is going to help you.
And 100% of the profits from that book, 100% go back into this podcast. Did you not go into our pocket?
Yeah, we make no money.
It goes back in this podcast so we can continue to do this for all of you.
Yes.
Jamie, will you say the title of the book for those who aren't watching?
Sorry, it is 30 Days of Writing Sprint Prompts, an instructional workbook to help you establish a daily writing habit by the Christian Indie Writers. And this girl on here is like, what? A daily writing habit for me? So go and get you one and start writing. If you do it for 30 days, you'll start to feel weird if you don't write. I promise. Isn't that true, Shell? Shell was a daily writer for a very long time. She might still be writing daily. And once you write daily, it's easier also to call yourself a writer. So anyway, good job, Rhonda, because I wouldn't have even thought to talk about our book. Did everybody say their what's next? I think they did.
Yes.
All right. Well, then, unless anyone has anything else to add? No? In that case, this concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next time, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.